Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media Podcast. We are in season 6, where we are tackling one of the hardest and most important parts of growing a cleaning company: hiring and recruiting. From attracting the right people to building culture to keeping top talent, this season is all about solving the people puzzle in the cleaning industry. Today's guest is someone who's lived that challenge firsthand. Jon Karmazyn is the founder of Revive, a two-division powerhouse offering power washing and holiday lighting across two thriving Pennsylvania markets. But what really sets Jon apart is the way he has built Revive to operate without him being stuck in the daily grind, which has let him being freeing up to him to be focused on something that he's deeply passionate about, which is helping other business owners build systems, scale smart, and create lives that they actually want to live. After digging out of over $160,000 in personal debt, Jon scaled his business with discipline, grit, and repeatable systems, and that includes building a hiring machine that fuels growth without chaos. Today, we're diving into what it really takes to build a team that you can trust, from hiring pipelines to recruiting systems to how your culture can become your unfair advantage. Jon, welcome back to the show. We're happy to have you here.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. This is I always love chatting with you. It's always a good time, and this is a great topic, something that I'm actually really passionate about.
I love that. Yeah, and I was looking for guests on this season. I saw you comment. I'm like, heck yeah, let's get Jon on. He'd be a great
Yeah.
guest for this season because you're right. This is a important topic in the cleaning industries, but it's just in home service in general. Hiring, recruiting, and just looking at it in a way where you're not just always trying to catch up with the work that's coming in, is a mega challenge, as well as just turnover in the home service industry. It can be such a tricky thing to navigate. So I'm excited to jump into it today. Let's set the scene, as I like to say. Let's talk about just what you're seeing in the state of recruiting. You work with business owners in the cleaning industries and the home service industries every day. What's number one? What would you say the number one hiring challenge you see them facing right now?
Um, well, from a business owner's perspective, um, a l- let's I think I would break it down into two kind of schools, if you will. One is people that are looking to grow their company and they haven't hired really anybody before. Maybe they like had a helper or somebody like somebody they knew, a friend of a friend or something like that. And they're actually like going out into the market now to try to hire people and like build their team. And then there's the other school who has a team and they're looking to add to it and continue to grow. Maybe they're looking to add layers of management or to kind of promote from within to build some layers of management. So at least that's what I found. There's kind of I would break it down into two different tribes there.
Makes complete sense. Yeah. Do you see maybe common mistakes you're seeing business owners making in this recruiting process, especially maybe in like job descriptions, timing, or expectations that they're putting out to the applicants?
Yeah. So I've uh I'm still in a bunch of like industry Facebook groups and
Yeah.
I'm not very active in them necessarily, but uh earlier like in the springtime, so for the cleaning exterior cleaning world, right? Like spring is a big push, busy time for the exterior cleaning industry. Um and there was one week in particular I remember earlier in the year and I saw two separate individuals posting kind of complaining about hiring. And, the rants that maybe you yourself have said at one point, or you've heard somebody else say that there's nobody out there that wants to work anymore, and
Yeah.
there's no good people. Nobody, all those, list of all the nobody wants to do this X, Y, or Z. Um, and they, and good on them, they posted their job ads. And I'm reading these and I am like, it is no wonder nobody wants to come work for you because your job sounds like a prison. Like it
Mm.
sounds like you're working for a slave driver. You know, there's the ad copy is you must have this. You must be able to do this. It's like, okay, that's a
Which,
yeah,
which,
exactly. Crack the whip. Like, okay, we need to be a little bit more, have a little bit more salt here to bring some people in and a little sugar. Come on, let's have something that people are intrigued about. Oh, that sounds fun. So, I would say the biggest thing, it's kind of a roundabout way of saying biggest thing that I have found is the hook to get somebody interested, and then the copy of the ad needs to speak to what the person's looking for. Because inevitably, anybody searching for a job, what's the one question they're probably asking in their head? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Why is this a better opportunity than either what I have now or what I've had before? So if the job ad doesn't speak anything to that question, they're just going to move on. They're not going to be interested at all.
Which so
So
far the conversations we've had in this season, I mean, if someone just started listening to what you're talking about, you would think we're on a marketing podcast, right? Like what
100%.
you're describing is also like an ad for marketing for like services of the company. Like, hey, quit talking about you, talk about the solutions that you're going to have to
Yes.
the problems that the customer is having. Quit making sounding like being a customer of yours sound like a prison cell or like you must pay this, you must do this. Like, and there's been a funny correlation so far in this season. And this wasn't planned as the marketing guy here. I promise this was not intentional. There is such a tie to marketing your business for customers and marketing your business for applicants, right?
Yes.
So I think conversations I've had with you in the past, um, you've just done a really great job in your business and building freedom inside of your business by creating repeatable systems. I'm guessing you guys have created a repeatable hiring system inside of your company. And one great thing about a great system is that there are these non-negotiable elements inside of every great system. What are the non-negotiable elements inside of a job or recruiting funnel consistently that help you attract the right people?
So, yes, I would agree. First off, you're 100% right. Like the marketing, I don't know why as business owners think we put so much emphasis on marketing for our customers, but we put so little emphasis on it when we're trying to recruit and build our team. It's the exact same process. You're just talking to a different person. So, and more so, I'd say you're so much closer to what you do in the business and you see the opportunity and the potential, so you can actually speak more passionately sometimes, I think, to the employee and the recruiting side of that. So anyway, um, but the non-negotiables in our systems, in our process, we've dialed. Now, this is specifically for technicians. Um, in the spring, we usually make a push in the spring, hire anywhere from 2 to 5 technicians in the spring. We're able to do that within 30 days. We could bring up to 5 people on within 30 days, clockwork every single year, no questions asked. For a holiday light season, again, we hire temps even. So these are temporary seasonal laborers.
Yeah.
These aren't full-time positions. These are temporary people who they know they're not going to be here longer than 12 weeks. So we make a push there. On average, we hire 7 people every single year for our Christmas light division. Again, within 30 days. And it's like clockwork. We get them every single time, and they're good people. They enjoy working here, and they stick around. So our non-negotiables, I would say, kind of without giving like the whole thing away, um, we've built a custom application
Mm,
that we have people fill out. For a technician level, I don't really care about resumes. I don't care about your prior skill set. Like the work we do, you don't need to have it's not like we're, electricians where you have to have training and license and stuff like that. So in our space, we can train the skill. I'm more concerned about the person you are and the character traits that you hold. And if you're going to align with the culture that we've built within our company, and I'll say fit in, that might be like not the right word, but you have to share the same foundational values that we do, or you're just not gonna like it here. Let's just put it that way.
yeah.
Because everybody else has a baseline expectation of the output that they're gonna produce. And if you are out of alignment with that, you're gonna feel something weird and you're just not gonna enjoy it here. So um, we've built systems to determine and pull out those traits from these people through the application process. So we have custom questions on there that we've developed over the years that give us a little bit of insight onto these people. And then from there, we filter through those applications, not resumes, applications. And then we do a group interview process. So many people, and myself included, right? We've wasted so much time over the years scheduling one-on-one interviews that people don't show up for and all that. So we simply just got rid of that and just said,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're gonna hold 2 group interviews a week. Here's the times of all the people that come through. We have automations built out. We sent out text messages with the time, location, details. They reply yes if they're coming. We add them to the list. Simple as that. And we host 2 group interviews a week. We narrow it down from there. We have 2 people sit in on the group interviews. So my operations manager and my office manager. Because it's a group interview, there's multiple people there. It's hard for one person to stay focused and kind of pick out what's going on. If you've never done a group interview and or if you have done a group interview and you've only done them by yourself, highly recommend having a second person in the room with you, because afterwards, the conversations that happen are, this guy over here, he talked really good, but when
Mm.
it wasn't his turn, he was like really fidgety in the corner. And like, if it was just you, you wouldn't notice that. So, something was seemed a little off about that. So, things like that you get to pick up on by having a second set of eyes in the room. And as a man, I always appreciate having a woman's perspective
Sure.
because they see things I don't. Um, and there's certain things that my office manager and my wife at times have been in the room and they've picked up on things. And I'm like, really? I never even saw that. And turns out they were right. Like it was a red flag that I totally missed. Um, so
Always trust
yeah,
your
I
gut.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. 100%. I posted yesterday was our 20-year wedding anniversary. So,
That's
thank you. Yeah, she picked out our first apartment sight unseen for me. She went and saw it and said, "Yep, we're good. We're gonna sign the papers." And I never saw it. So
nice.
that's how our relationship started. It's been great ever since.
I love it. Let's talk about how, and I know this is a big thing for you because you mentioned it in this your last time there, like culture as not just something for someone who works for you, and someone that's already inside the company, but really using culture as a recruiting advantage as well. I think I've heard you say it before, your team is a mirror of your leadership. How can owners intentionally build a culture that attracts talent instead of repelling it?
You know, that's something I wish I could say I really had systemized,
Mm,
but honestly, I don't. And maybe I do. It just comes kind of naturally to me. And so my Michelle and I, my wife, we've sort of over the years have just sort of built the culture of the company based on what we expect of people. Like what we expect of ourselves then translates into our team. We
mm,
lead by example in that manner. So we do what we say we're going to do. When we say we're going to do something, we carry it out. No questions asked, even if it's inconvenient. So we tell our team, look, we expect this of everybody here when we're dealing with our customers and especially when we're dealing with our own teammates. If you tell somebody on our team that you're going to do something, you darn well better execute on that. So there's certain things that are like non-negotiables from a core values, core behavior standpoint. And that I would say probably is the crux of it. Is if you've never really outlined what your core values are, and then, we've taken it a layer deeper about 2 years ago and broke those down into core behaviors because those are more tangible. Like, what's a behavior behind the value? When somebody's actually living this out and behaving in this way, then they align with this value. Those are the things that really are foundational to the culture. And every single week, Drew, in our team meetings, I sit up there and I talk about them.
mm,
And we made them fun too. So like one of them, our first core value is responsiveness, and we want to respond quickly to our customers and to each other. But I had fun with it. And you know, the old movie Spaceballs and the scene where they go to ludicrous speed and like blow by.
yeah.
Like we had fun with that. And I played that Spaceballs clip in the team meeting. And I said, look, guys, I know this is silly, but it's memorable. This is what we need to do every single time. And the guys say it now. Ludicrous speed. Like, we got to get back to ludicrous speed. We're too slow. We got to be faster. We got to be quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, so building it's little things like that, planting little seeds, but you got to be engaged as the leader. You can't disengage from your team because that's where it starts crumbling. And I've experienced that in the past. I've stepped away. I've been too far removed, and the culture had suffered because of it.
So how do you take those moments of ludicrous speed and those weekly team meetings that you have? How do you build that into your recruiting process? How do you hear somebody in a group interview or even a one-on-one interview, or you're looking at it and like, how do you test if they're going to be a good fit for the culture that you've put a lot of work into?
Man, that's a good question because I don't actually do the interviews for the technicians anymore. So I honestly I can't even answer that question because my ops manager, my office manager, they go through that and they've got a good sort of, I guess you could call it like a spidey sense of when somebody's going to fit. And obviously it's
Yeah.
difficult, we take them back for a one-on-one after we kind of filter out through the group interview, and then we've got a better feeling at the one-on-one if they're going to jive well with the team. Um so but I think really, it goes back to the character. You can get a read on somebody's character, I think, um, especially after meeting them twice. Like you get in the group setting, it's kind of good because you can see how they interact in a group. And then when you get them one on one, you can really kind of feel it out a little bit. But we heard we heard from a lot of people that from the culture standpoint, we built a little video a couple years ago of our team, and they like interviewed and said what it's
Mm.
like to work here. And we have that on our hiring page. So they get a taste of it. They see the excitement. They see the guys smiling, having a good time together. Um, and I think when they come into the shop too, they see some of the cool things that we have. Like we've got a little basketball hoop thing set up in the shop. And, some of them, they see the guys in the morning because we time the group interviews kind of around the time when guys are still there. So there's energy and excitement in the morning. Um, so they kind of see that and they're like, oh man. And then they look us up too. Like they see that we're a good, legitimate company. We've got a bunch of five-star reviews. Our customers like us, they trust us. So, I think all that feeds into it.
I love that. And I love too the people that are doing the interviews are people that are very intentional about the day to day with the technicians. They know that culture really well too.
Yes.
And they'll be the ones working with those connections really closely. So they probably do have a good feel, right? On
Yeah.
if somebody would be a good fit or not. So
100%. And they
I love
they
it.
ultimately have to work with them. So it's like,
Exactly. Yeah. So they're the ones deciding if it's going to be a good fit. And they're like, I know it's silly, but like, would I want to spend a lot of time with this person? Right. Like there's a people say sometimes you spend more time with your work family than your actual family.
yeah.
You want to make sure you enjoy being around them, you know? So I think having the right people in those interviews plays a big role in that
Yes.
because if they can tell, oh, they're just not going to jive or they're not going to
Mhm.
fit in or they're going to cause drama or they're so and so on our team, they're not going to get along with that kind of personality. Like they'll have all those insights and can predict really if someone's going to work out or not. So I mean,
Yeah.
I know you said you don't have a personal answer for, but what you've built into it is a good process too. Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit more after they've been hired with the company culture. Like maybe share a moment when like leaning into your company's values really made a difference in the retention. You have core values, you're strong on them, you're confident in them. How does that play into keeping people, that are A players that are great, but also like the other side of that coin too? How do you use those core values to maybe get rid of people that aren't A players, that aren't fitting in well?
Yeah. Um, I think the simplest way to put it is when we are living out those core values and everybody on the team, not just the leaders, but everybody on the team is living those out. the new people coming on board know that these people take things seriously here.
Mm,
And but at the same time, like we we have a lot of fun. So there's a
yeah,
great balance of like getting stuff done, but actually having a good time. And it's it's kind of hard to describe other than that, really.
sure.
Um, but I mean, we had a new technician that we hired in the spring came on board, and about a month ago, he sent my wife and I a message in our Slack channel just thanking us and saying, you know, I am actually really excited to get up and come to work every day now. Like,
Huge.
I can't remember the last time that, if ever, I felt this way about coming to work. And it's like, it's just speaks to what we've built overall, but like what my ops manager does every single day with the guys in the field to make sure that they're being held accountable, they're doing what they need to, but we can have fun while we're doing all this too. So that was super rewarding just to have him speak out and say that. And then I had another guy, he came in and he sat down with me personally, and it was like a 2-minute conversation. He's like, "Man, I was so nervous to come to you. I don't know why, but I was just really nervous." But he's like, "I just want to thank you." He's like, "I absolutely love working here, and you and Michelle and Nate and like the whole team has just been awesome." And he's been with us for 2 years now and just so good. So, but then on the opposite side of that, like what happens to kind of weed the bad people out? I think they just don't feel that connection. They feel that a rift there. Like if they're just not at the level of performance, like, hey, I'm gonna come in and work, and all they want to do is goof off. The team's gonna hold them accountable, and they're gonna give them
Yeah,
crap about it. They're gonna be like, look, dude, we can have fun, but you still got to pull your weight. So, I think we've managed to build a culture where the accountability as part of the values um, is taken seriously, and nobody's scared to call each other out on that because that's how we all win.
love it. Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about screening and hiring. And you said that you are big fans of like the group interview.
Mhm.
Talk me through what those look like. Is it one question and everybody goes around the room and answers the same question? Are there activities? Do you have certain questions that have helped you avoid bad hires? Um, Walk me through what that group interview looks like because that is not something in the marketing agency world is very common. So I'm very
Sure,
naive to that.
sure.
Tell me what that room's like.
So, again, I can't really speak firsthand on this, and this is actually compelling me that maybe I need to sit in on one of these just to see what the heck's going on.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah,
Because it's been, oh gosh, it's been 3 years since I've sat in on a group interview. So, um, I know it has evolved over time, because the first couple of times that my operations manager did it, he like literally just went one by. He treated it basically as a one-on-one interview with 6 people in the
yeah,
room,
yeah,
and it was like it went for like 2 hours, and it was like, "Okay,
sure,
dude,
yeah.
time out. This isn't gonna work. We gotta change
In
this
my
up."
mind, I want you to build like an escape room, and whoever wins the finds the golden key, it gets the job or something like that. Like there's a
And
camera, and you guys are all watching behind a double mirror or something like that.
I've 100% wanted to do that and, like, give them like, little puzzles or, like,
Yeah,
something to do to, like, but, yeah, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but, yeah,
yeah, it's
there's
actually not a
it's
bad idea. Like some sort of team building activity, and like
yeah,
see who takes over, who takes charge naturally.
right.
That's
Yeah.
it's actually not a bad idea. Yeah,
Yeah, so, like, we have hired for, like, crew leads in the past, and that would be a really good
yeah,
that'd be a really good setup for somebody for, like, on a crew lead position like that. Um, but to my knowledge, the group interview setting, he has, I think, probably 8 to 10 questions. Um, Probably half of those are, like, his kinda go-tos.
sure.
Um, and then also part of the group interview process, so this is kind of a filtering thing. So after they go through that, ask those questions, they kind of narrow it down to, their top prospects out of that group. And don't get me wrong, sometimes we have groups come in and they're like, nah. Nobody in that group was good,
Mm.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
It happens, we can't be desperate when we're hiring like that. I mean, we feel desperation at times and like, oh, we just need somebody to, that could fog a mirror to come in, and that always ends up poorly. So,
Oh yeah. You
um,
need a warm body. Yeah, it never ends
yeah,
well.
it never ends well. So, we've learned that lesson over time again. So we've gotten more comfortable with being like, you know what, just weren't any good. They weren't the right fit in this batch. But of the ones that we do find a couple good ones, look, we work on ladders, and one of the questions that we ask people is, are you comfortable with heights?
Mm.
And that is a very broad interpretive question. So we have a 28-foot extension ladder set up on the side of our building, and my operations manager sets it up before the interview, ties it off to the gutter on the side of our building, and the ones that make the cut, he says, "Hey, before we go, I'd like you to climb up this ladder and tell me what's inside that gutter up there." And he'll put like a tennis ball or something up in the gutter, and just to make sure that they can climb up and down the ladder and not freeze.
Yeah.
Because years ago, we get everybody through the interview just based on what they said. Yeah, I'm comfortable with heights, and we'd hire them, onboard them, start the
Nothing
training
else.
process,
Yeah.
bring them out in the field, and they'd get like 4 rungs up on a ladder, and they'd just, like, lock up and freeze. I was like, "This was a complete waste of time now."
Yeah.
So, um, so I would say,
Start at the ladder. Have the
yeah,
mead room wherever you're doing the interviews on the second floor, and
on the second
if
floor.
that's the only way they get to the interview is they have
I
to
know.
climb that ladder. Just get it over with right at the top. Have like a
Yeah.
little post-it note, like interview this way, just like an arrow.
We'll just hold them on the roof. Perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll tell my ops manager that. He'll love that.
They get up there. It's just a circle, like foldable chairs, just on the top of the roof. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool. Um, so do you have, and I know you said you've been out of the interview for a while, but like, did you have a certain question or any like golden question that you maybe you wouldn't expect to be like something to learn a lot about somebody, but any secret questions like that?
I really do hesitate to share this because this is kind of like our secret sauce. But I really like you, Drew, so I'm gonna do it. Um,
Oh,
and it's not really on our. I wouldn't say it's not part of our interview process. It's actually on our application.
okay.
So I talked earlier about that, online application that we use, and biggest thing is the question we ask: assume you owned your own business. How many times in a 30-day period would you allow an employee to call off the morning of their scheduled shift? We give them, they could put in the number, and then we
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to explain that. And for us, if it's anything over 2 without, an explanation of, oh, somebody might get sick, they might have a kid get sick, okay, those are reasonable, understandable explanations. But Drew, man, if I could share with you without, all the privacy violations,
Sure.
some of the responses that we get are absolutely astounding. And it just tells us the mentality of somebody that we would potentially hire if they say 5, 5 times over a month.
Within
That's once
30
a week.
days.
That's once a
Jeez.
week that you think it's acceptable to call off the morning of your scheduled shift. So that's a gigantic red flag for
Oh
us
yeah.
that we filter out right away. So that actually has saved us a ton on our filtering through people and interviewing, and just that saved a ton of time and really really filters out a lot of people because I don't know, man. I mean, the amount of people that answer that question anything more than 2 is
Yeah.
kind of alarming.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
and that's it's crazy that people do answer, I guess, truthfully on
yes,
the
that's the other
extreme
part
end.
of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
because we
in an
just
application
had
you
one.
say this is where their people are always at their best, right? And the same thing in an
Right.
interview. They're like really on their best. And people are putting crazy answers like once a week I
Yeah.
could call off. Yeah, it's a giant red flag.
It's wild. So, and I guess, like, that's the other part that's kinda puzzling to me, and it's phenomenal. I'm very thankful for it that people are comfortable enough to just
Yeah,
be that honest and open. And I don't know if it's just the way the rest of the application's formatted that it makes them feel kinda loose and it's not, like, super formal, or we're just getting people that are just like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, not sure, but it works. So yeah, that's been our secret sauce,
that's crazy.
from a filtering standpoint.
I love the specific of just like putting the ownership in their hands and what would you do with it. We have a question. We do 6 month reviews here, and almost the last question we always ask, and everybody knows it's coming, is like, if you were us, being my wife and I, what would you be doing differently? And we do throw that in their court and like to see what they respond with. And honestly, like, I mean, there have been times where we get very brutally honest answers that hurt our ego for a second, but then they're like, oh man, they're right, they're
Yeah,
not wrong. And I am like,
right.
oh, you just said too, I am like honored that they felt comfortable enough to be honest like that.
Yeah,
And then also like we get, just great answers too that like help highlight some cool things that we're doing. But I like that, like putting the ownership in their hands for a second. I think that's good practice for any employee is like to see
yeah,
it from the other shoe or
yeah,
the other side of things.
yeah, and it speaks a lot to I don't know if I'd necessarily pin it on their character, but where their mindset's at
Sure.
and what they find acceptable in their own world, and if that doesn't align with us, man, it would just know right out of the gate, that's not gonna be a good fit.
100%. Yeah. So let's move on to retention, and leading people to stay. We've narrowed down the right applicants. We do our interview process. We've got them trained. Hiring is really, it's one thing. It's one piece of the puzzle, but keeping your best people is another piece of that puzzle. What systems or rituals have you guys built into Revive to help retain top talent? Especially in a world sometimes for you that is seasonal or it's a temporary position. Do you have people coming back, from those temporary positions? Because that's a
Yeah,
huge testament to what you're doing. But
yeah,
what are you doing internally to like, keep and retain people?
yeah. I mean, man, I tell you what, over the years, I think one of the most underrated things, especially for smaller businesses, is the employee's first day, their first week. Because I think there's a statistic out there that like a certain percentage of people starting a new job, they make a decision within the first 3 days if they're going to stick it out or not.
Wow.
So the first impression within the first 72 hours of them starting is critical. So as a business owner or a leader, if it is just absolute chaos when this new employee starts and you're not prepared for them, you don't have any of the paperwork that they need to fill out, you don't have like, their login for the CRM so they can even see their schedule and know where they're going or what, who they're reporting to. You don't have anything ready. And it just looks like they walk into the shop their first day and it's like everybody's just like firefighters running around.
Yeah.
That's not a good first impression. So, um, you know, spend a little bit of time spent the day before preparing and outlining what that first day is going to look like for them and paint a picture for them too. So, something we've started doing was sending them a text message the day before they start and just say, hey, excited to have you join the team. We know tomorrow is going to be a little overwhelming because it's your first day at a new job. So, we want to try to make this as smooth and as comfortable for you as possible. Here's a list of things to bring. And we have a little PDF that we attach. And it's a little kind of what to expect on your first day. You know, we're pressure washing during the summer, spring, summer. Bring an extra pair of socks with you because by the end of the day, your feet are going to be wet. Like everybody loves that because they're like, oh man, it was so good because I didn't think about that, you know?
Yeah.
So, bring a pair of boots. We're going to have a uniform for you. So, no worries. You can change at the end of the day. Pack a lunch, but, all those little details that
Hmm.
you're not really thinking of. So again, we talked about putting the employee in the owner's shoes. when you're bringing somebody on board, put yourself in their shoes
Mm.
and think about what's that first day going to be like for them? What are some of the stresses that they might come up against? What are some the things that might cause a little bit of anxiety? And just help guide them through that, because if that first day could feel a little bit more comfortable for them, it's depositing a little bit more trust in the bank of, I made the right decision to come work here. Because that's really what it's come down to. They're going to always be questioning up to a certain point if they made the right decision to come work for you. So you want to do everything you can to reinforce that this was a really good decision on their part. And that just banks culture at that point. That banks retention. I shouldn't say culture, it banks retention, because if you can reinforce that they made the right call, tr- they're not gonna be looking elsewhere.
Yeah. I think that's something we overlook too as owners who have hired just people after people for years and years of new hires. We really kind of have forgotten because we haven't experienced it in a while
Exactly. Yeah.
what it's like to start a new job or how big
Yeah.
of a deal it is for someone to quit something they were doing. They
Hmm.
had to have that conversation, right? They had to have like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks." They had to have like that hard conversation. Like they're coming in pretty damn vulnerable to this, right? And
Yes.
like, I feel like
100%.
as owners, we have forgotten about that because we haven't had that moment in years. So leaning in and like giving some empathy to that situation and doing those little extra things to make them feel comfortable on their first day and like you said, like make them confident that like, you know what, this was good. All like the
Yep.
stress I had the last 2 weeks working my last job before I started this one, it was worth it. It was worth it. I think I
Yes.
made the right move here. I love
Yep.
that. I know you're doing, some coaching for business owners too. How are you coaching other owners to become the kind of leaders that people want to work for? Especially in the home service world where we do see high turnover high turnover, like in the cleaning and holiday lighting and those temporary jobs. Like, how are you training people to become bosses and leaders and leaders of jobs that people actually want to stick around for?
Yeah. It's funny because I think a lot of the people I already work with, and honestly, a lot of business owners that I talk to in general, I would say the majority of them, they really want the best for their team.
Mm,
They have their team's best interest at heart. And I think, honestly, a lot of people do a really good job at treating their team well. They have best intentions. Sometimes they're just too dang busy to stay consistent and execute and like check in with their team.
mm,
And that, I think, is the biggest thing. So it's like if you're onboarding people, and because a lot of people, they're onboarding, they're training, they're doing payroll,
yeah.
they're scheduling, they're taking phone calls, like they're doing all the things. And then the stress of bringing somebody new on board, you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, yeah, that sounds great to like send somebody a text message and map out what their first day is going to look like. I don't have the stinking time for that. Like, but those are the differentiators that really make the retention stick, because
Mm,
you took the time for that person. So, the biggest coaching thing I have to work through is just more of a time management thing.
mm.
Is like slow down to speed up. It's okay. Like sometimes you just have to let a fire burn, but don't let the fire that's burning be your new employee that you just hired. Like that's something that you need to nurture and you need to focus on at least for the first week. Give them some inspiration, give them that validation that they made the right call to come join the team, and then they'll go to bat for you. They'll go to war sometimes.
I love it. Very cool. Let's talk a little futuristic with AI and certain hiring technologies. You and I were talking, I think,
Mm,
before we started, recording this. We've had obviously like Woot Recruit, we've had HireBus on the podcast before, and the technologies around hiring in the home service space. Um, let's talk about like 3 to 5 years ahead. How do you think recruiting will evolve in the home service space? What do you think is going to be automated? What do you think will no longer exist? How do you see things playing out?
That's a good question. I think the AI interviewing process is definitely something that's gonna take in, uh, very quickly. I mean, we've already used that for, like, leadership type positions. We've utilized that through, Hire Bus, you said.
Yeah.
We just use them for, sales manager, and, that process has been great because, you know, me as the business owner and CEO trying to sort through these resumes that come through for these leadership positions,
Hmm.
that's a different animal. Those the resumes do matter in that world because I want to know your pedigree. I want to know your
Yeah.
background and your skill set because I'm hiring you as a leader because you have these skills. So, any aid that AI can generate and provide uh, to help that whole process go faster is going to be awesome. And I really that's the name of the game is like how I think that's where things are gonna go is, like, how fast can we create like, I guess how much can we speed up this hiring process
Sure.
because of AI? Because think about it, like, when you're in a situation and you're looking to hire somebody, like, you want them, like, now,
Yeah.
most times, right?
Yeah.
Some of us are very good planners, and we're like, "Oh, yeah, well, couple months from now, we know it's gonna be a long search, so we're gonna start now, and maybe by end of year, Q1, we'll find the right person." I I don't know. It's just speculation, but I would say, with the development of AI and stuff, I feel like that time frame is just gonna be shortened
Which is
significantly.
great. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's there's always that double-edged sword of you want somebody to start as soon as possible, but you also want someone that has character that's gonna give 2 weeks to their, previous job, and I honestly, we've
Totally.
had that before. We had somebody we knew was currently in a position, and they said they can start in a few days, and I'm like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if you're gonna do that to them, you'd probably do that to me.
Right.
Red flag, so
Yep. Right.
it's
And
interesting.
it's so hard because you got so far along the process, and
Yeah,
at the very end, it's
I
like,
know.
"Ooh,
Yeah, you don't find that out until you probably send an offer, right? Yeah,
yes." Yeah,
or close to it, yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, hey, let's end this episode. I don't think I did this your first episode. We've changed things a little bit since the first
Yeah, alright.
we're on. We've been vending with, like, this elevator speech kind of idea. You've got 60 seconds in an elevator with to speak directly to a home service or cleaning business owner who is drowning in hiring problems.
Mm.
What do you tell them? 60 seconds.
Slow down to speed up. I think that's very important. I know you feel like you're drowning right now, but there's some fires that you can let burn and it'll be okay. Well, identify what those are, let them burn and take that time and put it into building some level of a system. It doesn't have to be a full blown, Rolls Royce of a system here. You can have a base bare bones thing, but have some sort of framework and structure to it. Because when you have a framework to work off of, everything just feels like it goes so much smoother because you're not trying to retain everything up here and remember what the next steps are. Get it out of your head and onto either paper or on, some sort of a digital document that you can refer to because this trying to remember all the time eats up so much mental calories and bandwidth and it bogs you down. So, go from no system to something is better than just drowning in what you're doing now.
Slow down to speed up. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, John, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today on, really, we talk about how to building a team the right way. So just thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Before we wrap, what is the best place for listeners to connect with you or learn more about what you're doing to help other business owners grow?
Facebook's the best. You can look me up, Jon Karmazyn on Facebook. I know it's a funny last name, but you can find me on Facebook. I'm there, always sharing good stuff. And I love to talk business. I love to talk hiring. I love to talk all this stuff. So thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. I always love the conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you are watching this episode and you found some value or you found this episode and conversation helpful, share it with a friend. I do know one thing about this home service and cleaning industry, that this is one of the most tight knit industries I've ever experienced in my entire life. So you probably had 6 or 7 people pop up in your brain throughout this episode, like, ooh, I need to tell so and so that. Oh, they need to hear that. Or I need to share this and so. So share this episode, helps get the message out of everything we're trying to do here at the Five Door Media Podcast. Because we do know the truth is this: smart systems, strong culture, and good leadership can turn your hiring headaches into a competitive advantage. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.